Barb Remsburg, who is currently the AIMHO Association President. And we're going to also hear from David Aderholdt, who is the Association Member at Large Entry Level. This webinar will be about 45 to 50 minutes in length. There'll be some time at the end for question and answer, should you have any questions. You should be able to view this presentation on your computer screen, and we will be providing a handout of any information that's pertinent after, if there is any. And I hope you can hear me as you're watching this. The microphone feature is muted for those of you in attendance. If you would like to ask any questions, then you're welcome to do so through the chat feature there in your GoToWebinar window. We also want to know who is on the webinar and how many people are there with you. So if you would take a second and type in the chat box the name of your school and the total of number of people that are there with you, we would appreciate that very much. And we are welcome to tweet using hashtag AIMHO or tagging at AIMHO in your. And yeah, with that, we'll turn it over to Barb and David. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is David Aderholdt. I'm a third-year resident director at Montana State University. And Barb, did you want to talk a little bit about yourself at all?
I'll be glad to introduce myself. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Barb Remsburg, and I am the Director of Housing and Residential Education at the University of Utah. And David's going to get us started as we start talking about all that is AIMHO. So let's roll.
So AIMHO is pretty massive. It's the only regional housing organization that touches from the north to the southern border of the United States. It includes, states from Montana all the way to Arizona, which stretches 1,507 miles, and even greater Saskatchewan, stretching 1,895 miles. This is 3,000 plus miles total. To drive across just the states within the United States would take over 21 hours. And the region is made up of 8 areas: Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Montana, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, and Saskatchewan.
It is. Yeah, let's write this down. You should say, do you know, is it exactly this many miles from Billings to AIMHO this year? That's a full stretch.
I'm getting cross-chattered. I don't know where it's coming from. The AIMHO mission was developed and adopted in 2012. The mission of AIMHO is that we provide members opportunities to learn and collaborate in a supportive network for the advancement of best practices in the stewardship of college and university residential communities.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do as you take a minute on your panel, you can raise your hand, and I'd like for you to raise your hand if you have been involved in a strategic planning session. So of any kind at your current institution, at another institution, just go ahead and raise your hand if you've been part of a strategic planning conversation. Because that's where the AIMHO core values really came from. So it looks like we have a handful of folks, and glad to see that. So if you're into strategic planning, which is really kind of futuristic, forward-thinking, what might things be like X years from now, stick around, because our current strategic plan was developed in 2012 and intended to be about a 5-year plan. So you got it. 2016-17 we'll be rolling the next strategic plan around. So thank you for a good number of you have been involved, so thanks for raising your hand to that. So out of all of, just think like this room of mind-blowing soup in regards to strategery and what does AIMHO really mean to our region. So we come up with some core values. One of those being student-centered. Makes sense, right? I can see all your heads nodding. You didn't know there was a webcam integrated into this webinar, did you? Inclusivity and involvement. Definitely core, definitely critical, particularly with the conversations that may be going on in your campus, the situation currently in Missouri and at other institutions. I don't know if in your thoughts, but definitely in my forefront of my mind is how do we ensure that we are creating a home where students can thrive and belong? And that not only means inclusivity in the work that we do, but that AIMHO has to be inclusive of all the regions, of all the span that David talked about, that we are gathering individuals to become leaders within our region from various identities, various institutions across the board, because we do have a strong commitment to social justice and responsible citizenship. And we want to make sure that we use data to inform our leadership, and that means our directions, so that when we think about, for example, serving on the executive committee, it is far less about Barb and what she might want to do, and it is far more that I am kind of helping to steer this ship to align it with our strategic goals and values. So that strategic plan is really critical. Next slide, please, David. So some of our goals, we spent a lot of time coming up with our mission and values, and they're critical, so we want to make sure that individuals know about them, which leads to the next piece, that we want to continue to engage in outreach and be meaningful, to be on the forefront of individuals' minds when they think about professional development. And that means year-round learning. That's why AIMHO 365 was developed, was to unpack, we used to pack everything into the annual conference. States used to have, or still have, drive-ins. Rapping definitely takes place, but we wanted to expand and not shove everything into this annual conference, and make sure that there are opportunities year-round. And you don't even have to leave your desk, right? And to create a culture of investment. That's both financial as well as engagement. So, next slide, please. A group of individuals led by Cheryl Portillos, who's our past president, helped to create our vision and inclusion statement, and this was adopted in 2013. A couple of points I want to raise. On the first bullet, really talks about the diversity of organizations that are within our region and how it's critical to have them all represented. Second is about really making sure that our going from the organization down to the individual members. And that last sentence in that bullet point kind of rings for me. The association values the different perspectives each person brings. That is how we advance and do our work, right? You know that groupthink can take place, and that it's difficult to advance an organization when everyone's just kind of nodding their head. The third bullet point, that we are committed to providing a community in which each member is treated with dignity and mutual respect, free of discrimination or harassment. And the last bullet point, that we encourage diversity within our organization, our programs and services. So this is one of the outcomes that we saw that we were missing when we looked at our core values. So this was one of the items that was developed.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of our region, and please correct me as I go. Being a new person here, I know what I've heard pretty much and what I've read. But AIMHO was founded in 1955. The first conference was hosted by the University of Wyoming in 1956. In the beginning, it was actually a collaboration of senior student affairs professionals in housing and food service, and made up primarily of men with not a lot of diversity. Many of these professionals did not have masters in higher education at the time or student affairs. In the 1960s, AIMHO grew to about 50 or so members, and in the 1970s and 80s, that is when mid-level professionals began to participate within the organization itself. Understanding the need for further professional development outside of just the annual conference and maybe some networking opportunities within their states, AIMHO developed an AIMHO College and Senior Housing Officer Institute, which is the SHOW Institute. These were offered to both new and seasoned professionals as an opportunity to network and grow. Most recently, Nevada was added to the region in 2008, and in the summer of 2012, like Barb was talking about, the current strategic plan was developed.
So we crunched some numbers in order to better understand who are the members of AIMHO, and our membership dues are based on the number of individuals that are housed on each campus. So you can see by far the vast majority, 1/3 of the member institutions house 0 to 500 individuals on their campus. So when we think about access to professional development, when we think about resources, when we think about state drive-ins, when we think about RAPIN, a lot of that has to do in making sure that there is a strong voice at the table representing those 20 institutions that would be considered smaller schools or smaller housing programs. And then on the next slide, we roll into, okay, what is this organization? We've talked a little bit about getting involved, and what I wanted to walk through was, like, where are the opportunities? So in the middle column, you see David at the top. He is our member at large entry level. And there are each member of the executive board or the executive committee has connections with committees. So for example, the RAPIN Conference Host Committee, David is the liaison to that committee, as well as AIMHO College, which makes sense. They both really frame and focus our work with entry-level professionals. You may not know, but each state has a state or provincial rep. So this is an individual that outreaches to the senior housing officers or to the individual within each state. And on our website, you can, if you don't know who your, we call them SPR, if you don't know who your SPR is, you can take a look. And then AIMHO 365 also lines up with the member at large senior level, and that is Katie Schmazel. Our past president is Cheryl Portillos, and she works with our assessment and information. I need to update this slide. We changed the name last year, so they do an annual survey. They do our poster session, and Cheryl also liaisons with our Diversity and Social Justice Committee. As the president, I get to work with our website committee, the host committee, and the Senior Housing Officers Institute. And the next slide, so Jeff Rosenberry, who's our president-elect, he is the liaison to our program committee and awards and recognition. A lot of their work is focused at the conference. Our secretary, who's Maureen Ward, she is connected with our marketing committee. Our treasurer, Brent Klingman, is associated with Finance Committee and our Corporate Partner Advisory Committee. And then in alternate years, we have a treasurer-elect, and so that they can better learn the treasurer position. So that's kind of the various both executive committees as well as the leadership committee. But each of those chair opportunities, so currently today, we are still accepting applications for both the diversity and social justice co-chair position as well as the marketing co-chair position. And the call for committee members is also out there, and that is active through the middle of November on the aimho.org website.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about this, but also myself in this. One of the things that really drew me to want to be a housing professional was the culture that I found at AIMHO when I became an entry-level housing professional at Montana State University. Going to my first annual conference, it was really cool to see how relaxed the environment was, and where there really wasn't an emphasis as much on hierarchy. I could talk to anybody at the conference and feel like my opinion was welcomed. This horizontal view allows for new professionals to contribute their thoughts, both in person at the conference or at drive-ins and places like that, but also on the listserv, also in webinars. It's just really welcomed and allows people to feel like they really are a member of the organization at all times. And so this is very much part of the Intermountain culture in general, which is why I think it's worked so well for our region. Another emphasis is put on equal input from all member institutions. Like we talked about, 1/3 of our institutions have 500 or less students living on campus. And despite size and representation at the annual conference, all member institutions have equal input and are valued at the conference in all discussions. Understanding the institutions' various size throughout our region and how different each institution is really a big part of what our organization does well.
Okay, so when we take a look at the SAGE, so the SAGE is our current SAGE, Sue Bellotti, and I just sent out a little note in the messages in regards to Sue. If you have the opportunity to be at the annual conference, you'll be able to hear from Sue at the opening banquet. She's definitely a rock star. As this is our 60th anniversary year of AIMHO, she has helped connect with many of the individuals that you see on your screen. So a SAGE is someone that the incoming president may nominate. We don't always have a SAGE to serve as a mentor and someone that helps provide some historical context. Doesn't mean they're old, it just means that they're experienced, and may also just help to align, like, what did we do in the past in case we're missing something. So you can see on here, our actual first SAGE was Lamont Oviatt, and if you're able to be at the annual conference in Tucson, you're going to see many of these individuals. And we will have them stand up and get embarrassed so that you can put a name and face together. But when we think of some of these folks, it really is telling to their love of AIMHO that they're coming back and some out of their own pocket to be present with us at the conference this year. Roll into the next slide. The host hatchet. So this is another piece that makes that's something a little bit unique. At the closing banquet, you will see Nick Sweeten and Justin Lukashevich and Anna Marie Stevens pass the host hatchet to University of Colorado Boulder, as they will be hosting our conference next year. So you can read a little bit on your screen about the history of the hatchet. But it is one of those prized possessions, and it's meaningful, and you don't take it on the airplane with you. This is something you definitely pack in your luggage. Moving on. The rubber chicken. So this is known as Stony, and this is a picture of Stony when I had Stony before I gave him to Jeff Rosenberry. So he's sitting on my desk at my U, and just kind of one of those funky pieces. And I've been trying to dig, and I may, pick some people's brains to figure out when this tradition actually began. But it really goes from president-elect to president-elect, and kind of symbolizing like you had no idea what you're getting yourself into. And you have to add or accessorize the chicken. So last year I gave the chicken some earmuffs. So we'll see what Jeff does to it this year. And that takes us to the President's Plaque. If you're able to attend the conference at the closing banquet, Jeff Rosenberry, our President-elect, will be recognizing the carpenter that creates this plaque that goes to the outgoing president. So it's a pretty cool plaque. It has different woods that are aligned or associated with each of the states. And you can see on this particular plaque, we brought in Ottawa into our association. So you can look it up, but we just have Saskatchewan. Ottawa is not part of AIMHO. Northwest of Kuho got kind of mad when they saw that. So we'll give Ottawa back, but the plaque is really quite beautiful, and you'll be able to we'll be able to recognize the carpenter that makes it each year for us.
So I'm going to talk about ways that you can find professional development at AIMHO, both at the conference, before the conference, and throughout the entire year. So one way to do that is just like we are right now, the webinar series. Monthly, AIMHO's 365 committee organizes and puts on webinars for all of our members. These are open webinars, they're free to members, and they're a way to continue your professional development throughout the year. And typically these are on topics. One I watched was on facilities and ADA requirements last year. This one being on membership and new members and how the organization works from the inside out. Also, there are 2 pre-conference institutes. There's the AIMHO College, which is for new professionals. It brings in senior housing officers to act as faculty throughout a day before the conference. There's opportunities to network both with entry-level folks and with senior housing officers throughout that. And it's a great opportunity for entry-level professionals who are really trying to figure out if this is the right profession for them, and also to gain in professional development throughout the year. There's also the SHOW Institute, the Senior Housing Officer Institute, for current and aspiring senior housing officers. I haven't gone to this one, but from what I understand, this is an opportunity very much like AIMHO College to talk about hot topics, issues within the region, issues within housing in general, and also a way to talk about it, to network with people who might be in the same position as you, in a position you want to be in, and also who have a little more experience. We also have the listserv and the SHOW listserv. The listserv goes out to all of our members, and quite often you'll see discussions about things like roommate conflicts and how last year we had one on having RAs roomed with residents. The SHOW listserv is primarily for senior housing officers to ask questions amongst that group to figure out what's going on within the region and to get some feedback from people who are at a higher level within the profession. There's a bi-monthly AIMHO Angle publication that goes out, and this is an opportunity for everyone in the region to contribute some of their knowledge and to share their knowledge with others. This publication, it looks really good. I took some time looking over the last one, and I think that with the time that's put into it and the information that's provided, it's a great way for people to get information throughout the year. Also is the Diversity and Social Justice blog. The Diversity and Social Justice Committee puts out a monthly blog that talks about one area of diversity and social justice that the members choose individually, and this is published on our website. And there's the annual conference, which has poster sessions, it has programming sessions, it has the show forum, networking sessions, and lastly is blog, the blog that came with your membership. When we switched over to your membership as a website host, there was a blog option created in which anybody can start a blog on our website to share some of their knowledge and to spark some discussion. I'm going to talk about also the strengths of AIMHO. And so one of our major strengths is the relationship with our corporate partners. Our corporate partners play a very large part in our region. They're very involved at our annual conference. The last two that I've gone to, I've met a lot of our corporate partners and had some great conversations with people who have been part of the region for 10 plus years. And so in 2004, to honor some of these, to honor some of our partners, we created the Corporate Partner of the Year Award that really honors their commitment to us and their commitment to the region. They help us out financially. They come to our conferences and interact with everyone, even if they might not be buying their product at the time. And so this award is named in honor of Lionel Morse, who was a longtime corporate partner of the AIMHO region. And on behalf of the companies he represented, Lyle generously offered his time and financial support to our region. Other strengths is the development of our strategic plan, like we discussed, and visioning documents through a group process, bringing in opinions from all over the region, not just people on the executive board or areas like that. And the development of a gap analysis from our member survey, which found high satisfaction levels with the annual conference, Senior Housing Officer Institute, the AIMHO College, the Diversity and Social Justice professional development we offer, and regional networking opportunities.
Okay, so that leaves me to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that we're facing. So one is that that we continue to work and outreach to and broaden the scope of our leadership, as well as understanding the scope of our organizations, which aligns with what I mentioned earlier. And continuing to focus outside of the annual conference, got that, right? Volunteer engagement, I've already tried to reel you in to be part of a committee for next year. But really, if you think about your professional development plan and what are the opportunities on your current campus or within your current office, and how could being a committee member with AIMHO help to support your professional development plan? Because you get to connect with some really cool people. You are working usually at a broader picture understanding of what's going on within our field and the connections to what's going on at a COI. A lot of that information we talk about often, and we ask chairs and co-chairs to dialogue with committee members. So I highly encourage you to consider serving on a committee and making time then in your schedule on that follow through and making that happen. And then similar to if you've had turnover within your office or within your department, someone leaves and you're like, well, who used to do this, or how did it used to get done? That the same type of piece happens, or that same situation happens within AIMHO as well. So a couple years ago we created this masterful leadership manual that Cindy Anderson helped to coordinate, and she was the previous president and is currently down at NAU. So it helps provide some of the framework and structure, and we just work to make sure it doesn't get out of date. So just kind of that knowledge transfer. And then on our survey, and we currently have the institutional survey out there, we alternate between a regional member survey as to how is AIMHO serving your needs as an individual, and then the alternate years, how is AIMHO serving the needs of our institutions and gathering benchmark information from those institutions. A lot of that is based around policy and do you allow this, do you offer this, what's your policy on this, what's your bed count size, things like that. From a regional member survey, two things came up. One was that we needed to do a better job with our AIMHO website, which really pushed us in the direction of our new website, which is on a new platform. And secondly, that we need to better look at creating opportunities for professional networking. Sometimes networking and mentoring became intermingled, but the focus really being on getting folks within the region to be able to connect and outreach with others and have a network beyond what may exist on their own campus. So those were some of the challenges that we focus on through our dialogues.
And so the kind of the last thing we're going to look at really quick is the new member handbook. This was recently updated and added to our website, and so I'll show you where that's at and kind of what it has to offer. A lot of what you'll see is very similar to what we just talked about, so I'm just going to look through it briefly. If at any point you need a refresher on anything we talked about, or just want to talk to someone new at your university or who wasn't able to make it to this webinar, this is a great way to show them kind of what we do here and how it works. So this is the handbook, and I'll show you where you can find that here in a moment. But it provides, an overview context of AIMHO, things like the host hatchet and Stony the rubber chicken. It talks about different traditions within AIMHO, including the SAGE, things like the case study, top 6 programs, and the plaque. Resources within AIMHO, such as the website and listserv. Ways that undergrads can get involved, like the Rapid Conference, which was just held. Ways to get involved, serving on committees, the different committees that, and it has a description of all the different committees that we offer. And then lastly, just ways that new people to the region can get involved and things that they can be doing to feel included almost immediately. And so to find that, just go to aimho.org. And this is our snazzy new website. And you go to AIMHO Home, and it is under AIMHO New Member Handbook. You just click on that, it'll lead you right to it. And so that's the end of the slideshow.
David, I sent you a link on the chat. Would you mind grabbing that? And we wanted to show you the new member video.
Let me see.
Do you see that?
Yes. It's going to take me a second to grab. It's not cooperating. There it is.
If you back up one slide, I had embedded it in the Wordle.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not sure if you grabbed that version.
I got it right here.
There we go. Well, that's a marvelous picture of Jeff Rosenberry. But it seems that the sound's not jiving with it.
It's probably too much to send over just the webinar.
So you'll be able to see it if you're at the conference at the newcomers orientation, and we will also link it onto the website. So we'll send that out to you with the copy of the PowerPoint, so that you can get a preview of the video and put some names and faces together of some of the individuals that we talked about today. So with that, are there any questions, or what are your questions? I know you're busy typing away, so I'll keep talking. On our website is the current link to the call for volunteers, and as well as the current link to the current chairs and co-chairs. And I'd encourage you to shoot them an email and just ask them, like, okay, so what do you all do, and what is the time commitment? Otherwise, just jump in the pool, because a lot of us did get involved in that manner, wondering, like, okay, I'm not sure what we might be doing. I know what the description says, but there's definitely a cool group of people within our region that otherwise, outside of AIMHO, there's no way I would have gotten to know them. So I highly encourage you to get involved, not only for your benefit, but also for ours, speaking on the behalf of AIMHO, that there's a lot of work that can be done, but it all takes individual effort and initiative, and we all have a little bit of time, right? We just have the opportunity to choose where we might put it. So I'm asking you to put a little time towards AIMHO. And I appreciate you being with us today. I didn't see any questions come through. Ben,
I've got a couple here. So I'll ask the first one to you, Barb. If I'm attending the conference, what type of attire should I plan for?
Absolutely. So the conference, it's in Tucson. So last year we were in Logan and it snowed. So this year we're in Tucson. It is going to be casual. So there will be some individuals there, particularly if you're presenting, that will be in business wear or casual business. But as far as I would let the weather dictate your dress, recognizing if this is your first conference, that what you wear does impact how others perceive you. So if you are leaning towards casual, probably nicer casual would line up to be appropriate. Hopefully that answered your question, but it really is impacted by where the conference is at.
And so I can field this one. What is the number one, well, we both can, this would be a good one for both of us probably. What is the number one thing you would tell someone who has never been to AIMHO before? And for me, I think the biggest apprehension I had the first time I went to AIMHO was, can I actually reach out and talk to anybody? I was really stuck in trying to figure out the hierarchy and things like that. Literally, you can go and talk to anybody at this conference and trade business cards with anybody at this conference. Ask people questions, start a discussion with them, figure out where their journey was or where they're at. I think as a new person, I think that's what held me back from my first conference, and since then I've really understood a lot better as I've gone through a couple conferences now. And so if you get someone's business card or you do reach out and make a connection, feel free to continue those connections beyond the conference. That's another thing is, you know, I had a lot of business cards at the end of my first conference, and I just didn't know what to do with them because I was so scared to send someone an email because I might be bugging them, and that's not the case at all. At what point you've developed a connection, feel free to utilize those connections throughout the year.
I would say I came from another region, so my first AIMHO, I was I was wondering how do all of these people know each other? And they're acting like they're best friends, and I don't even know who they are, much less kind of getting to know them in on a personal level. And so to be honest, that created some anxiety in me, like, is this really where I do belong then? Like, it seems like there's this group of people that know each other really well. And I want to share that some of that actually comes from people within the region often stay within the region. Doesn't mean everyone has to, or that it's not welcoming to new individuals. But for example, I was taking a look through some of our previous minutes from old business meetings, and individuals that went through early AIMHO colleges and early Rocky Mountain Training Institutes are still in the region. Individuals that you saw on the stage list are still active in the region. So when you think about knowing someone for 10, 15 years of your professional life, you're going to be hanging out with them, right? You might be roommates. So when you see individuals, they may have many years of relationship built up. So that's why you should join a committee. And anyone can join a committee. We've extended the deadline. So it used to be that you signed up at the annual conference. So one of our strategic initiatives was to make sure that committee, you don't have to attend the annual conference to be on a committee, and that the committee sign up isn't really attached to the conference in any way, because the work is done year-round. We do a lot of work on conference calls, so you may not actually be in the same room with other committee members, but you'll recognize their voice. So just know that you can sign up for a committee, and you don't have to be at the conference, and you don't have to attend the conference to be on a committee.
Awesome. And that question was from Jake McKenzie from Rocky Mountain College. Is there any other questions out there?
Awesome. Well, we know that you could have spent your lunch hour in a variety of different ways, and we appreciate that you wanted to learn more about AIMHO. And please feel welcome to shoot me an email, shoot David an email. Our information is out on the AIMHO website. And reach out with any additional questions that you may not want to have posed here today. And we'll send out to you the newcomers video as well as the PowerPoint, so that you can take another deeper look if you want, and encourage you to peruse through the website. If you haven't liked the AIMHO Facebook page yet, encourage you to do that. And you can follow AIMHO on Twitter. To be honest, sometimes the Twitter feed, I don't tweet a whole lot. Our marketing team does a pretty consistent thread, but it definitely gets going during the conference. So if you want to hit the back channel, even just to see what's going on, hear some of the quotes from keynote speakers if you're not able to attend, I would definitely watch the back channel during the conference. So with that, I appreciate you all, and thanks, Ben, for facilitating this.
Well, thank you, Barb and David, for presenting to us. It's a lot of really good information to have. For anyone who has not yet let us know what institution you're at and how many people are with you, please take a second and do that so we can have an accurate record of who was here and get the presentation out to everybody who attended. Thank you again for taking time to be here with us today, and we look forward to seeing you at the conference next week.